Thomas. It's up for grabs now. Thomas.
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira.
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right. What a way to get it. Well,
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
champions.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Arsenal Lounge. A big hello to the loungers. I'm sure you'll be coming in slowly and we'll come and say hello to you shortly. But before we do all of that, the usual, I want to speak to the panelists, the regulars, my guys. So firstly, Mo, how are you doing and how's the meal?
Yeah, I'm just eating a sweet. I thought, I've got enough time during the intro. I'll just stuff a sweet in my mouth and then you go and catch me out. You didn't even have the decency to go to Tom first.
No, I thought I'd catch you out. It'd be a bit of fun. What are you eating?
Well, listen, I'm eating how life feels right now. Very, very sweet. I'm enjoying myself, man. Arsenal, top of the league. Very, very happy. Can't wait to get into the game. Another stellar performance by potentially player of the year, Bukayo Saka. Can we start having that conversation? But we'll get into that during the pod.
Yep, we sure will. And Tom, how are you doing, mate? I can see you went. Didn't you have a drum and bass event this weekend?
Yeah, I did.
I'm not stalking you or anything. I just
no. I was just on focus on Saturday night. Yeah, it was very good. It was very good.
Yeah, it looked pretty full on, mate. So yeah, we'll have to find. Who did you go and see, by the way? Who was it?
It was Sub Focus. Was the producer and some other supporting acts, but no, it was good, very good indeed. Light show was probably the best I've ever seen. To be fair,
there you go. So ex-geography teachers can party, and you've heard it there first from Mr. Canton. Yeah, hard. Well, so guys, look.
Yeah.
Anyway. Look, I thought what we'll do a little bit different today. First of all, I thought we'd get the negative out of the way and start with the Europa League because obviously that game was on Thursday. I unfortunately managed to get a ticket for the game, and well, it was an experience I wasn't expecting. Not gonna lie, but we'll have a quick run through it if we can. So. Let's have a look here. Let's share. I'm getting quite techie nowadays. Let's see if we can do this. I'm going to share my screen. Oh no, I'm not actually. It doesn't give me the option at the moment. Don't know why it's not giving me
these days.
No, we're not getting very techie. Okay, so let's go back to the Shaheen days and just go to as it was. So look, the lineups. We started with a lineup on Thursday that was stronger than I expected. We had Ramsdale at the back with Tomiyasu right back, Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko. Vieira in midfield with Jorginho and Xhaka. So Partey dropped for that game. White on the bench as well for that game with Nelson, Jesus, and Martinelli. And I'm guessing we all thought that was quite a strong lineup. Sporting Lisbon had Adan in goal, with Inacio, Diamande, and Saint-Just. I think it is Saint-Juste. My pronunciations are probably not as good as Tom's. We had Escal, Ugarte, Gonçalves, and Reece in the middle with Paulinho, Edwards, and I think it's Trincao. Is that right, Tom?
Yeah.
Trincao. There you go. So, I mean, thank you, mate. Thank you. Getting better at these things. So, look, all in all, when you saw that lineup, what did you guys think? You thought it was a pretty strong lineup? You thought that was enough to beat Sporting?
Yeah, I did. And I didn't complain about the lineup when I first saw it. I also found it very, very interesting that Arteta, a lot of people had asked, are we serious about the Europa League or not? And what really showed me that he was serious wasn't the omission, because you can look at the omission of Thomas Partey, for example, and say he's not serious, or Ødegaard. But the fact that Turner and Kivior were dropped, they didn't do well in that first game. And I think the majority of us, if we were picking our lineups, would have said, yeah, he'll probably still start with Turner. He'll probably still start with Kivior. The fact that he didn't showed me that actually, no, he's serious about this competition as well. So I'm a bit disappointed that, it ended up the way it did.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll have to agree with you on that, Mo, in the sense of he's obviously wanted to win this game. So, I mean, we started pretty well, got an early goal, but it all kind of started to unravel a little bit because obviously there was a few injuries. We had Tomiyasu, and then shortly followed by Saliba. We were a goal up. Well, we were a goal up by the time Saliba got injured. I think we were, weren't we?
No, I think it was still. I think it was nil. It might have been.
Let's
I'm
have a
not
look.
sure.
Let's have a look at the timelines here.
I'm not sure. They're pretty close together, I think, in terms of when they both happened.
We scored in the 19th minute. It was Granit Xhaka after Martinelli is played in. I think he had a shot, great stop by Adnan, and then Xhaka followed up. So that was on the 19th, in the 19th minute, and then Saliba got injured and come off on the 21st minute. So we were a goal up. Rob Holding came on. Look, I'm going to be honest here. I mean, I know everyone's talking about Rob Holding, and we'll touch on it a bit, but I noticed a huge difference. I was sitting upper tier, so we looked pretty comfortable when Saliba was playing. When Holding came on, you could really see a tendency for him to drift out of position and get drawn towards the ball, make rash tackles, and he was leaving positions in behind. But there was some danger signs there, but we still looked pretty comfortable. Second half, I think it was after Oh, by the way, Jesus made his debut. His full debut, should we say, back from injury. He had his full start. First half, he played. He looked pretty sharp. Then Trossard came on second half. And then they equalised in the 62nd minute with that goal. Now, guys, were you both in the ground for this?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Right. Talk me through your view and then your reaction to that goal, and I'll tell you about mine, because I was sitting upper tier, West Stand, halfway line. So I was sitting right in front of the sort of the midfield area. Where was you guys sitting? You was in the press box, Tom, right?
Yeah, which is just behind the away dugout. So literally, like, it happens in front of me. So you can just see the loop of the ball and then dropping over Ramsdale. It's the best goal I've ever seen in the flesh. From a non-biased point of view, if I take my Arsenal hat off, just in terms of the quality, the execution, it's probably the most out of this world goal I've ever seen in the flesh. And it sucks. Like, my reaction was just one of, like, I was doing the blog, and I think I was like 5 seconds slow in delivering the fact it was a goal, because I just looked at Kaya next to me like, has that actually just happened? And the thing is, like, Arsenal went out for me on Thursday night in just some of the most ridiculously unfortunate circumstances. And everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for Arsenal that night. You know, I think the 2 injuries completely undermined everything that we were going to try and do. I think that the goal that they score is, I mean, I know Mo loves an XG stat, but that's as close to 0 as you get, you know, in terms of an XG shot. So, yeah. And then obviously for it to go to extra time, for us to hit the post through Trossard, and then, of course, for us to lose on penalties as well, where Ramsdale probably should save 1 or 2 of those penalties, gets his hand to a couple of them. That's a separate discussion, but
I wanted to bring that up, actually.
Yeah, we can do. I just think I don't look back at that game with anger at the team. I don't look at it necessarily with frustration with the manager. I just look back at it and go, that weren't our night at all, and nothing went our way, and I can accept that, because there's a lot of good things going for us this season. And so if they're going to have a bad night, I'm glad it happened in that competition, and I'm glad that it didn't happen in the league. That's kind of the perspective I've put on it for myself.
No, the way you were sitting, you said you could see it coming towards you. What was the perception? Could you tell? Because for me, it seemed, Mo, I'll ask you as well. For me, it seemed to take an age. Like, time stopped still where I was sitting. It was like the ball was in the air, and I was still trying to assess, like, is this going to hit the top netting? Is it, what's going on? None of us expected that ball to go in. It was perfection. Mo, what did you think when you saw that shot? I mean, did it register? Did you think it might be going in? Did you?
Yeah, I did. And you can look at the goalkeeper's reaction. That always gives you a clue. If the goalkeeper, and Ramsdale was quite a cool customer, so I reckon he probably could have gone like a couple of inches over the bar, and he would have been like, no, just quite chilled. But the fact that he was scrambling after it did look dodgy. And I don't know, you know, I talk so much about football, I can't remember whether I said it in one of my own bits of content or whether I said it to you guys. But I've mentioned in the past about Ramsdale's positioning, and I've often thought if I was a Premier League striker and you have a counter attack against Arsenal, if there's not people with me, I'm not even looking up, I'm just shooting, because Ramsdale's positioning is so advanced that you don't even need to go over him. You can go round him a lot of the time. As long as it's on your first or second touch, you can go round him. And so it wasn't a surprise to me that he got caught out at all. And even after he got caught out in the same game, his positioning was at times like on the center circle, on the ring of the center circle. So look, there are benefits to that. You can turn around possession a bit quicker. I don't think he's got the balance right, personally. I think he should be a little bit deeper, because maybe just 10 yards deeper, you lose about 2 seconds getting the ball back up to a defender. Not if even 2 seconds, probably like 1 second. But you get back to your goal line significantly quicker and really make it a lot harder for an attacker. Now, it's funny because I have thought to myself, I think that's a bit of a risk in the past, watching Ramsdale play for Arsenal this season. But if we're going to concede 1 goal a season like that, what an annoying goal to concede, given it was in a knockout stage of a cup competition when we're only 1-0 up. There's so many other games this season where had we conceded that, it wouldn't have mattered as much. But hey, look, that's football. That's the beauty of it. Even if you're not fashioning chances, there's always a chance in this game. And that's why we watch it. That's why we love it. And at times, that's why we hate it.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's a calculated risk, because obviously he plays almost like a sweeper, doesn't he, Ramsdale? So it's also so he come out and intercept balls over the top, perhaps a bit quicker. And how many times will players try that and score? It was perfect. It was the only place he could have put it that it would have gone in. So, I think Tom's hit the nail on the head as well. I think you play that game 20 times. Someone's put it in the chat. You play that game 20 times, we'll probably win that 19. And it was just one of those. I think everything transpired against us on that day. Now that we're chewing the fat, I'm glad I'm having a chat with you guys. You're right. Everything did transpire against us. So having a look at it now after it went to penalties, this is one thing you mentioned, Tom, the penalties with Ramsdale. And this I noticed as well. Why is he such a great shot stopper with things that, many times he saved us in that game a couple of times when they had breakaways and his shot stop. Why is his reaction so great as a shot stopper, but on penalties they seem to be delayed?
I think that he is a goalkeeper between the sticks that tries to read the striker in terms of how they strike the ball from the spot, rather than say a goalkeeper that picks a side and is like, I'm going to commit to saving in this direction to give me the best chance if the ball is put there. And I think that style of penalty saving can be obviously advantageous if you're good enough to react speedily enough to read what they're going to do, which is a very difficult skill to have. But it's sometimes when you play that way, even if you go the right way, you react that split second too late. And even by getting a hand to it, it goes underneath you. I think that it's something of his game that will develop. It's something of his game that you don't practice in a live situation against opponents you don't know, because obviously you can practice saving penalties, against your coaches or against your fellow teammates. But if you do that every day in every session, you get used to the way in which your teammates take penalties, and you will become accustomed to that. So practicing against people and players that you don't come across very often, we haven't conceded that many penalties at all, this season. In fact, I'm trying to remember one. I think we conceded one against Spurs at home, and that's the last one I remember us conceding. People in the chat might remember one before that. I'm trying to think of any others that we've conceded, but I think it is just that Spurs North London derby one in September, October time. So yeah, he's not been able to. You don't get the chance to practice. If you are, as I say, Ramsdale is, I think he's an instinctual goalkeeper, and that's what he does really well in terms of shot stopping in open play. But when it comes to penalties, I think that does put you maybe on a little bit of the back foot. But And West Ham in the chat box, people are saying as well, was another time that we considered penalty. So twice this season, 2 chances to practice against unknown opponents. It's a really difficult skill, and not one that when we had Petr Cech and everyone was like, oh, he needs to save a penalty. It's not really something I'm that hung up on with goalkeepers, because it's such a rarity that you rarely do. I mean, it wasn't for us in the past because we had players like Mustafi giving them away every week, but I think it's such a rarity. It's never something I really hold that strongly against or for a goalkeeper, is their ability to save penalties, because it's just such a rarity that you have them.
Well, perhaps in Europe, it might be an important thing to be able to do. And hopefully this is something he might have to try and work on in training, in the sense of maybe to have that, try and instill the same mentality in the penalty scenarios as he does in other shot stopping scenarios, because he's instinctive. So I think I'd like him to be instinctive. Before we go on, Sam Tresidder, thank you for your support. Hey all, he says, happy Monday to you as well, Sam. Completely off topic, but thinking of our friend Vieira, do you think that clubs should be limited to transfer windows when looking to sack hire managers? Mo, I'll give you that very quickly.
It's an interesting concept, but you look at when most sackings occur, and that's when you find a team trying to avoid relegation. So after, all we'd see then is even more ridiculous sackings, people preempting bad performance in January. So I feel like I get it. I get why that comment has been put there, but I don't think it'd drive the right behaviours. I don't think there'd be any less sackings. And then you'd unfortunately have some occasions where a team is just, don't stand a chance, where actually sometimes you need to refresh a team to survive relegation. And from football club owners, they'd feel very, very frustrated by the fact that they can't intervene to save their season and, maintain the riches of the Premier League because of this rule that's come in that wasn't there previously. So I feel like it's a bit of a no-go, but maybe there needs to be something else within the rules of football to help managers out a little bit. Because look, talking about Vieira, like the comment mentioned, that frankly was ridiculous. We saw, and if you haven't been watching Palace, it's not a surprise. It's no different to normal weeks. But we saw against Arsenal, I think it was Mateta who went clean through. He got flagged offside afterwards, but he went clean through, and Ramsdale read it like a book. It wasn't in
Edouard.
Edouard, sorry,
Yeah.
They have not been able to finish anything all season. They are awful. Zaha is probably the only player that can actually finish for them. Elise and Eze, fine, they're not too bad, but they do not have a striker. And people might say that, look, wasn't Mateta that Vieira signed? So, he signed one of those strikers, but ultimately not every striker is going to work out for you, right? And I believe that if Vieira had a half-decent striker, Palace would be absolutely fine right now. So I really wanted to slap Palace like we did out of a bit of annoyance at the way they got rid of Vieira. But I don't think the answer is to limit it to transfer windows.
And the crazy thing is now there's talk of bringing back 75-year-old Roy Hodgson, which I don't understand. I mean, other than he did have a bit of a bad run, Vieira, but you can't deny that he had improved the way Palace were playing this season. So, I mean, it's a strange one. We've only sort of 10 or so games to go. And, I'm in agreement with Mo there as well. I think it was a ridiculous decision. And you, Tom. By the way, I've only just realised, thanks to a couple of the guys in our chat, I'll say Ronnie Pickering. Ronnie Pickering's fat. Ronnie Pickering, isn't it? It's just like it's Tom's microphone. Road God. That is actually. Where did you get that from, mate? Because I've got a road mic and I didn't think about that.
Someone in my chat box suggested if you added guard onto the end of your Rode microphone stand. So but someone was like, you got to cover up the R, and I was like, no, it's just not as funny that way. So yeah, got to keep it as Rode.
Come on, loungers, you could have given me that as well. Like, anyway, that's quality, by the way. So look, very quickly, we had pens. It went to penalties, and we all know what happened. Martinelli missed the last pen. Our last pen, and then they scored and they won. But I mean, as somebody rightly said in the chat box, I think it's Tom Percy. In fairness, of course, we didn't actually lose the game. We lost on penalties, but it did feel gut-wrenching on the night, especially at 120 minutes we played. And that was a concern with the game coming up on the weekend and how we would sort of bounce back from that. So obviously we had Palace on the weekend on a Sunday at home.
As well.
What's
the
that?
irony that we've bemoaned away goals for years.
Yeah,
and going
and the
out on
one
away
time, yeah,
the first time that it's not in
typical
there.
Arsenal. That is typical. You're just so right. I was thinking the same thing. How can we go away and score 2 goals and still go out because they scored 1? I mean, there's something that feels really unjust about that. But anyway, we're out of it now. Very quickly before I do move on to the Palace game, I'm sure everyone's asked these questions, but do you now look at that and think, gutted we've gone out? Or are you starting to think it might actually be a bit of a blessing? Tom, I'll start with you.
We won't know. We will not know until the end of the season, mate. It's as simple as that. On paper, I'm going, now we had 11, now we've got 10 games to focus on. And that's all I care about. It's just, it's a tick mark off the list. We don't have this uncertainty of how many games we've got left. And then I look at Man City that are going through in 2 other cup competitions, and that potentially they could play something like 17 plus games compared to our 10. And you look at that with how long, with what, 2 months left until the end of the season. That's a lot of games in 2 months. I'm looking at where they're even going to put their West Ham fixture that's been posted. I don't even know where that's going to go.
Well, you've got the Brighton one. Haven't you got? Do they have the Brighton game as well? That's had to.
I think
the
so,
22nd of April. They had 23rd of April. They're due to play Brighton away, but because of the FA Cup now, they've got to tie the semi-final on the 22nd. So that's also going to put that Brighton game back as well. So,
and look, look. What we do know, and I'm saying this now because it's going to happen, if, and it's a big if, and I'll touch wood, if Arsenal win the league this season, that is what people will say. That is what the critics will say. They'll say Arsenal went out of all the cup competitions relatively early on, and Man City had too many fixtures. That is what people will say. And it's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous because not only are Man City a financial juggernaut that are facing alleged issues right now regarding spending, but their squad compared to our squad it's in terms of depth and strength and depth, is night and day, and it's designed to cope with those competitions. And I mean, Eric Ten Hag talking the other day ludicrously about Arsenal's injury records, despite the fact that we lost our best striker for however long, 3 months, lost Emile Smith-Rowe, was one of our biggest players last season for the majority of this whole season. We've now lost Tommy Asu for the rest of the season. We lost El Neni for the most of the season, who was until January our backup number 6, lost Thomas Partey for a month and a half, now lost Eddie Nketiah as well, and who knows how long Saliba's going to be out for as well. It's, I'm going to be very frustrated when I expect people bring up that fact about Arsenal's campaign.
Well, I did see Arteta sort of swipe back underhandedly with his...
He listed them, didn't he?
He did list them. But I mean, well, anyway, we'll move on to the positives now. So obviously the game Sunday, we're back with the lineup as follows: with Ramsdale, White holding in for the injured Saliba, Gabriel Zinchenko, Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Trossard. So barring Holding sort of replacing Saliba, that would be our usual lineup. And for Palace, you had Whitworth, Ward, I think it's Guy. Is that how you say it, Tom? Guy? Guy, yeah. Anderson, Mitchell, Milicevic, Doucouré, Schlupp, Elise.
Who is that? Sorry,
Milivojevic. Go, you say it, Tom. There you go. Milivojevic, Doucouré, Schlupp, Elise, Zaha, and Edouard, who Mo mentioned a minute ago, who we were linked with at one point. But look, I'm sure we were all a bit concerned how we were going to bounce back on this Sunday. I was worried about the likes of Martinelli and Saka and how we were going to respond. But look, Mo, you was at the game. I'll start with you. How was you feeling before kickoff? And then how did you feel during the game once you started to see the way we were performing?
No, I felt good before kickoff. I was looking for. I was nervous because you don't know how you're going to feel about something until it actually happens. And the way I felt about potential. Well, actually, I didn't even think about a Europa League exit. Let me be honest. But as soon as it happened, I didn't realize how exposed I would feel, because now I'm like quite something to show for their Oh, for God's sake, it's happened again.
It's happened again. I
love
swear.
that his internet corrects himself when he says the words, "Oh, for goodness sake," because that always comes through perfectly.
And
Every
the thing
time.
is, he's been sitting there, and there's been nothing wrong with it. The minute I ask him a question, it's almost like somebody is in the background. Maybe Shaheen, if you're watching, I don't know what he's doing, but anyway.
I'm going to call out
carry
my flipping internet provider. But anyway, yeah, I felt very exposed. This is a very, very good team. It's been a very good season. And for us to win nothing this season, it doesn't feel right. You know, I'd be really, really disappointed. You know, obviously, as a fan, I want the joy myself. But if we didn't win, I'd feel really, really sorry for those guys. It wouldn't even be about me. I'd just be like, damn, like all of that work, all of that good football for nothing. I'd be crushed for the team. And the Europa League was an insurance policy. I didn't realize, but it really, really is. And I was gutted when we got knocked out of that. I'm not one of these fans that tries to pretend to be a manager and talks about silver linings and that sort of stuff. I'm a fan that wants to do what a fan does, and that's dream. Go to a cup final, create history. Arsenal have never, ever in our illustrious history won a league and European trophy double. So imagine this team being the first group of players to ever do that in history. That's what we should be doing as fans, dreaming about stuff like that, about an incredible night in Budapest in May, rather than talking about, squad management. You know, it's potentially a silver lining. What kind of rubbish is that? We're not managers. We're not playing Football Manager here. We don't need to pretend that we are. You know, I think sometimes it's smartest guy in the room syndrome, where everyone wants to kind of come up with the more considered opinion, the more professional opinion. No, we're fans. You know, who wouldn't want to win a double? It would have been a brilliant night. How many European trophies have we won in our history? Frankly, for the club that we are, it's an awful European record. Let's go and correct that. And don't get me wrong, I hate the Europa League. I really do. But no matter what competition we're in, let's just go and flip and try and win it. So I was really annoyed. And then I was like even more frustrated by all of the silver lining crap that I was hearing afterwards.
That I just dropped as well.
Yeah, no, but you asked the question. So I don't know how you feel about it. But loads of people do feel like that. Loads of people are actually happy. And like Tom was saying, we don't know. The only way we're going to know is at the end of the season, we'll look at the games that followed a Man City European game, and we'll look at the games that would have followed an Arsenal European game, and then we can analyze them and say, was it a blessing in disguise? It may well be, but we don't know that. So you can only go on the evidence that you have in front of you. I'd rather Arsenal got through and even played a reserve side than just get knocked out. So anyway, that's the annoyance that I wanted to share on that. But what I wanted to see with Palace was, how are we going to respond? Because imagine we lose that, or we don't lose, but we get knocked out of the Europa League. Then we drop points against Palace. Then it's the international break. We've bottled our chance to go 8 points clear. You know, you can imagine the narrative then. Oh, Arsenal is starting to unravel. Now it's just going to lay in people's minds over the whole international break. And what's that going to do? The reality is we did what we needed to do. We were clinical. We were intense from the first minute to the last. Don't think for a second that, we conceded a goal because we switched off. It was just a bit of bad luck. The intensity remained. It was a really, really good performance. Martinelli, half an hour after, in terms of game time, half an hour after missing the penalty that we get knocked out of the Europa League for, goes and produces such a clinical moment like that. Perfection in the box, touch to control, touch to go past the defender, and then bang, right in the corner.
On his weak foot as well, right?
On his weak foot. So that's what he needed to do to bounce back from that disappointment. And that's what the team needed to do. And Rob Holding needed to put in a performance as well to make sure that everyone's confident of his ability to step in if needed. But I do hope by the time the next Premier League fixture comes round, Saliba's back. So all in all, I was nervous because of what was riding on it and feeling exposed, but the team delivered exactly what I wanted.
Right. I mean, look, you're right in what you're saying. Holding did have a decent game. For those who have been living under a rock for the last few days, just to reiterate, Martinelli scored in the 25th, then with a Saka assist. Saka then scored with a White assist. Oh my God, how good was White, by the way?
Oh, brilliant.
He was unbelievably good. Like, honestly, I now class Ben White as not just a defender. He's a footballer. He really is a technically good footballer. He's passing. He's a very smooth player. He's elegant to watch, and the combinations with him and Saka, it's farcical that you could have Saka in the England squad and not White, and you want the best out of Saka when him and White play so well together. But anyway, then Xhaka scored after another assist from Trossard. Schlupp got that goal. I think you were talking about, Mo, that weird goal, and not long after, there was a moment when I think it was Zaha was through on goal. Twice he was actually. There was one. What was one that hit the post
in the first half?
That was the first half, and that was Holding coming out of position. By the way, I just
when it was 0-0, and also it was very close to a Aston Villa away Martinez incident where it hit the post and then hit Ramsdale. Could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, fine lines. If we went 1-0 down, it might have put our minds in a different place. But anyway, moving on. After Schlupp scored, Zaha did have another chance, second half. He put it across the goal, didn't he? And then Saka with a Tierney who came on, a Tierney assist, which was nice to see. But look, I mean, it was what impressed me was the way these young. I mean, we've got the youngest team. I think it is the youngest. I keep hearing the youngest, then the second youngest. Is it the youngest?
No, Southampton have got a younger team and manager, ironically.
Okay, fair enough. Buy me. He must be a young manager if he's younger than Arteta.
The irony is, the youngest team are bottom of the league, and then the second youngest team are top
of the league. Fair enough. But I mean, look, what I'm noticing in this Arsenal team is something I haven't seen in a few years. I don't want to jinx it, but mentality. These guys are bouncing back from. I mean, look, you had the Saka penalty miss during the World Cup. That could have destroyed him. It was the World Cup, I think, wasn't it? And then obviously you've had Martinelli with a miss. Young lads who don't seem to get phased. They come straight back. I think Arteta asked Martinelli how he felt. And Martinelli said, I want to play. And he played and he scored and he performed really well. So there is something different about this team. We're mentality monsters. And I mean, do you think I'll come to you, Tom. Do you think it's the type of players that we're bringing in along with the ones we were integrated from Hale End? Or do you think this is also something to do with Arteta implementing this mentality into this team?
Well, obviously, it's a combination. If you want to talk about waiting, I think everything will stem from the manager first. Yes, players like Jesus, players like Zinchenko, Jorginho, coming in, the existing players with good mentalities like Granit Xhaka, these are all good things. Even Rob Holding, we can talk about him on the pitch, but off the pitch, he's described internally by the players as a very important figure in the dressing room. So it's the importance of those players, but the manager comes first. It's his vision, it's his process, as he calls it. Yeah, another dollar in the process jar, but I think that it has to stem from the manager first. And he's remained consistent. Yes, there's some things we look at in his past, like how he handled Willian compared to Aubameyang, things like that. But his message, his ideals, his principles, his idea of what he wanted Arsenal to be has remained consistent. I've seen today actually going around, I think there's a clip of Arteta speaking, I think it's last year, but not maybe the end of last season or season before. He says this project is going to bang. Like he said, it's going to bang, and you can't say that he wasn't wrong, because you look at what's happened. Everything's happening faster than we thought it would. Even last season, potentially getting top 4 was happening faster than we thought it would. Going in for a title this season is happening faster than we thought it would. It stems from Arteta's vision. His man management has always been something on field that people have questioned about his substitutions, but actually I think off the field, the way in which he coaches the players, individually develops the players, speaks to them about mentality, and then brings that together in a group setting, I think as absolutely being a key reason behind what we've done, including obviously the integration of the players I've already mentioned into the group as well. And I think we saw that, the Fulham game is a great example, because you look at a team going away from home against Fulham has not been an easy trip. It might be for teams now not having to play against Mitrovic after their chaotic FA Cup game against Man United. But we go into that game and we just blitz them. We put whatever doubts there are about what this team can do, and we just absolutely blitz them. Trossard comes back into the lineup. Jesus comes back into the squad. That's lifted things. And yeah, it's important what Mo said about, you know, how we would respond from Thursday, especially with so few days and 120 plus minutes played on the night, about how we'd go in that with it. I tell you what, we didn't look a team who played that much on Thursday at all. The energy was brilliant throughout. I thought, I was saying to Kai, I was like, we're not seeing it now. Maybe by the 70th minute they're going to look tired, but we didn't at any stage. I didn't feel as like people were tiring. Yes, we took Ben White off because he'd played the majority of the Thursday game. I was, you know, fair play to someone like Martinelli for lasting as long as he did, because he was running all the way up and down on Thursday and then again ran up and down on Sunday. So it was a really impressive display on, off, mentality wise, and to go full circle, it certainly, I think, stems from the manager beyond all else.
Fair enough. Yeah, very well put. Also, Mo, I don't know if you saw it or Tom. What was that thing Odegaard did? This ball came over and he did some sort of a fake touch or something like that. Did anyone see that? Did anyone in the chat see that? He did something that was unbelievable. That guy, every time I see him play, he just impresses me more and more. His feet are so fast. It is unreal. But look, moving on from that very quickly, we have obviously some fixtures coming up. Injuries have taken place with the likes of Saliba, Tomiyasu. Now, I'd like to ask very quickly, Tom, I don't want to leave Mo out too much, but have you heard anything about Saliba?
No, it's short, no. I saw him in the mix zone after the game. He walked through fine, but he walked through fine on Thursday. It's a back issue. It's not something you're going to easily be able to detect. And with the international break, Arteta was never going to say anything, because you've got 2 weeks now, a week and a half of not speaking to the press. So no, the reports that are coming out from France are very vague, deliberately vague. I wouldn't read too much into the whole several weeks. It's a really vague kind of time frame. And if you get a vague time frame, it often means they're guessing. I'm hopeful that we'll see him for Liverpool, but I don't think they'll risk him for Leeds. But who knows? Maybe they will. We'll see.
Well, this is interesting. Thank you, firstly, Thomas Olsen. Yes, oh my God, he says that false touch at a decent pace blew my mind. At least someone saw it. I thought I was just seeing things. People will reckon Saliba's going to be all right. Mo, do you think there's some kidology going on here, and do you think that he will be okay?
Oh, who knows? When it happened against Sporting, and what I heard afterwards, I thought he should be okay. I thought we'll probably miss the Palace game, but should be okay, especially with the international break coming up. So I still harbour that hope, but we just don't know ultimately. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm really curious. I want to see this Odegaard touch, because there was something in the game that happened, obviously watching it in the ground, where I was like, wow, that looked incredible. So it must have been the same thing, but it was in the second half, and it was...
Yeah, it was the second half.
Yeah, quite far away from the North Bank. So
I
couldn't even tell who it was, because there were other players in front. So yeah, I want to know what minute was in, so I can go and check it out. If anyone is...
If someone in the chat, Thomas, I know that you spotted it. Dave is saying it was a missed touch. No, it wasn't. It was not. It was not. It was deliberate. Now, if anyone can find the minutes and let Mo know so he can have a quick look at it, it's something you just need to need to see for yourself. It was actually ridiculous.
And another thing that Odegaard did, and I love it when he does this, he plays in this pocket of space, or this triangle with White, Saka, Odegaard. They play on the right-hand side, and we do most of our work there in terms of unlocking. They are so good at holding the ball. And when, obviously, that's when they're facing the goal, they were attacking. But when a team presses us well or pushes us back, Odegaard does this thing. It's so brilliant the way he does it. And even as a spectator, I fall for it, so you can only imagine defenders who have to try and position themselves. He's running away from goal, and then he cuts inside, and because he's down our right wing, but now he's facing away, he's going to his right, and then he'll just fake it and turn back in onto his left again and leave defenders for dead every single time. He did it 2 or 3 times against Palace, and every single time it worked a treat. And instead of having to go back or slowing down the tempo, we're straight back on it, and one player is now out of position in the defensive unit. He's so good at it. And it's little moments of magic like that, little things like that make him such a joy to watch. But in terms of another moment that I loved in that game, Aaron Ramsdale's pass to Saka. Do you remember that?
He done it twice. I think he slipped him in a couple of times like that. Yeah, it's brilliant. Their understanding they have is brilliant. I was watching a clip of the old documentary the other day, and it's Arteta's philosophy when it comes to the wingers, because he doesn't want them receiving the ball with his back to goal. He wants them receiving the ball in ways that they could run onto it and cause problems. And if you look at the way they play the passes to the wingers, it's always trying to get the body shape of someone like Saka or Martinelli in positions where they could run onto it and cause problems. And those balls, those little balls in behind kind of the winger or the fullback that White was picking out were just beautiful, and they make it look so simple, though, don't they?
Yeah, but they play very, very well. Those three, they are absolutely brilliant. They've got a much better connection and understanding on the left hand side because of the way Zinchenko plays inverted. So they don't necessarily get the opportunity to do that. And then obviously you're talking about Xhaka, who might occupy that position versus Ødegaard, and Ødegaard's a different level. So he really keeps things ticking along. Saka's really good at sort of varying his movement to be able to get inside, and he knows Ødegaard will play the pass. I just absolutely love watching it, and especially North Bank where I sit, it's to the left of the goal, so I just get to watch that all second half, most games, and they just got such a good understanding. I love it.
And the crazy thing is, as someone in the chats mentioned, these guys are still young. Ødegaard's still got his prime to come. All of these players, a lot of them have their prime to come. It's scary to think. I mean, some people were suggesting, some pundits or so-called pundits are suggesting that we need to win it this year because everyone's going to sort of improve next year. But we said the same thing last season. We were expecting everyone to strengthen. Now, when you look at this, I was thinking about those comments the other day. Now, when you look at this team, I start to ask myself, who can you buy that's better than Saka right now in that position? Who can you buy that's better than Ødegaard in that position? Who can you buy that's better than Saliba and Gabriel at the back in those positions right now? So these questions started to come up in my head, and I'm like, okay, so what if everyone's got all this money? You still have to find players that are better than the ones we have. And it's not going to be that easy. And this team, if we can keep it together for the next 2 or 3 years, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, 100%. You know, and it's a key point to look at when we got those players. So you're Ramsdale, Ødegaard coming in 2021, and we're looking now 22-23, and you're seeing that level raise. And that's why I get so frustrated when, you know, the whole Caicedo thing in January, people suggesting, you know, just throw 100 million at it, throw 150 million and just get him through the door. I'm like, no, we need to have principles about the way in which we do business. We got Zinchenko for a ridiculous price, 30 million quid. You look at Ødegaard's price, 30 million quid. Ramsdale's price, 30 million quid. You know, you look at the business that Arsenal have done, and it's so clever in terms of incomings, outgoings, which is a whole different discussion. And we'll have that in the summer, and we'll judge that in the summer a lot more as well. But you know, Ødegaard, when we bought him, you could name a lot of players that were probably better, and probably players at 30 million. You know, James Maddison, for instance, you know, probably would have cost you more than 30 million, but you'd say at that time, yeah, great player, probably would have done a really good job for us still. But you're right, there isn't really anyone that you'd say that will do the things that Ødegaard does. I mean, in terms of his shooting, that's come on leaps and bounds since he arrived. You know, getting into double digits this season for goals in the Premier League, what an achievement that is, considering he was really, you know, that wasn't really necessarily a huge part of his game, you know, in the position that he was playing. It was more at Real Sociedad, but he was kind of playing more on the right and in a really more advanced position that he's played at Arsenal. So that's really come on leaps and bounds. By the way, I was just watching back to that touch. It's in the 41st minute. If it's intentional, it's brilliant. But I tell you, when I'm watching it back, I'm like, it comes down from a really high height and drops. And then he lays it off to Saka and gets
No, that's not the one they're talking about.
You're not talking about that one?
No, that was definitely not intentional.
Yeah, okay, because that doesn't look intentional.
Yeah. No, I think Mo was right. It was definitely in the second half.
I'll try and find it.
Wait, the comments.
Literally been going through every part.
Also, while we're waiting on that, when we're talking about touches, has anyone seen the clips of Zinchenko?
Yeah.
Can we please look at the comments here? People saying that Conte is being sacked.
Okay, let's have a look.
No.
John Wick killed Conte with a pencil. What? Is Conte sacked?
Tottenham are expected to part ways with Antonio Conte later this week, according to Matt Law. So that's the Telegraph reporting.
Right, okay, so it's not breaking news or anything. But Mitrovic has been charged with violent and improper conduct, by the way.
Well, these are conversations I want to have with you guys, actually. We'll touch on those. Lev, that's Zinchenko. Right, let's very quickly, let's have a look. Lev, that's Zinchenko vid. KD, you've caught us live. I did see that. Good to have you on board. And yeah, I did that video is ridiculous. Let's see what else everyone's got to say. I think it's Sakab. Sakab Sheikh. Good evening, guys. Great to see you guys on this show. Great to see you too. Everyone's saying Conte sacked. I think it's more of a prediction. Someone's just said Matt Law by
Matt Law. Yeah, he's very well connected, Matt Law. So I won't be surprised if he's very
Potter
right
might be next, says Pink Panther. I hope they keep Potter. I think in Potter we trust. Thomas Olsen entering the final third. Martin Odegaard basically did a foot over to the left while running the channel. The midfielder went to the left following the foot over, and Emo cut him. Can you find us that clip, Thomas? That's the clip I'm looking for.
I need to know the minute.
Yeah. Give us the minute, someone. Anyway,
did he play a pass afterwards, Lev?
Yes, he did.
If he did, and I'll try and find it. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I'll try. So some other stories in then. Obviously, we could touch on the fixtures we have, but we could go on those all day long. But it's all sort of. But look, there was some other interesting stuff going on in the Premier League whilst we were obviously celebrating our Palace win. Fulham were playing United. Now, this is the annoying thing for me. All this running and we're hardly on television. It's like they say the revolution won't be televised. Well, it seems like our Premier League title win might not be televised the way it's going. But anyway, Fulham, who we trounced only a couple of weeks ago at their ground, was giving United a very, very tough time. And let's be honest here, United didn't look like... I didn't see a way out for them, really. Willian, I was actually saying, where was this Willian when we had him? Because this Willian looks a totally different Willian. We could have done with him the way he's playing right now. And then lo and behold, the whole Man United luck kicked in. Something happened. I think Willian was out of position. They gone through, have a shot. Willian tries to cover it. It's a cross between his knee and his arm. It's an handball. We would say, if it was us, we'd say a handball. Now, I'll come to Mo with this first. This handball, do you think it's enough to just give a penalty? Do you have to give a penalty and send him off, which is a bit like double jeopardy, really? I don't know. I don't know if that was deliberate. He tried to run in and block it. And then, obviously, we know what went on after that as well, because obviously Mitrovic reacted. I think the manager got sent off first. Mitrovic reacted with a little nudge. Now, we noticed last week as well, or the week before, Bruno definitely pushed a linesman. Now, what's your take on all of this, Mo? I mean, you know what's being said.
I absolutely despise Man United. Trust me, I do. But
as much as Tom?
More. Honestly, more.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to have a Tom off. We'll have to have a United off.
But look, the Bruno one, when he touched the official, was different to the Mitrovic one. Bruno's was to get on with the game and sort of like move him out of the way a little bit, as far as I remember. And Mitrovic's was like the game was stopped anyway. It was just annoyance, pure annoyance. And I think Mitrovic does deserve a really big ban. There is a lot of talk these days about the abuse that grassroots referees get. And you know, one thing that's absolutely amazing, right, is I remember I was listening to a grassroots coach, and he was talking about some of the things that children do on football pitches. So, for example, they will score a goal, and then in their celebration, they'll do stuff like this.
Oh, yeah.
And then the coach was saying, so I saw a kid do that, and I said to his parents, like, oh, do you have any idea why I kissed his wrist? And, is he, is faith quite important to him? And he was like, no, I don't know what the hell he's doing. Like, it's completely random. Other kids, and I've honestly heard this from coaches, they say that the kids will talk to you on the pitch, but they'll talk like this.
Yeah, like the cameras are watching. I heard that today on Talk Sport as well.
Oh, yeah. I heard it on Talk Sport today as well.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, that is bonkers. That's absolutely bonkers that these are what kids are doing, right? So, and corners, and that's another one. Kids will raise one hand at a corner, and it's like, the coach is thinking, well,
you don't have a set piece. It's just one. It's just a corner.
Kids follow to that extent. So now Mitrovic has done that. I think the FA may well throw the absolute book at him, because they need to send a message when something like that happens, that this is not okay. And otherwise it does, there is talk that it's threatening the grassroots of our game if no referees are willing to do it, no referees are willing to turn up. And who the hell would? Honestly, would any one of us here want to go and referee on a Sunday morning, at grassroots football? I can't think of anything worse.
I think referees at I'm probably going to get a backlash for saying it. But in my experience, those who referee on a Sunday are those who couldn't play. That's how I saw it. Because why else would you want to get up on a Sunday morning in the freezing cold and go and Listen, I've played in those games. those referees get ridiculous amounts of abuse. They don't get any sort of support. The touchline, usually the linesmen are useless. That's if a linesman's even turned up. And sometimes you get a linesman who doesn't show up. So then you get a team member from each team, both men doing the lines, and each one is as biased as the other one. And it just causes absolute mayhem.
Exactly. So look, I personally will throw the book at him. I think the William one, if it didn't hit his hand, would it have hit his stomach?
I thought it was his knee it was going to hit.
All right, so would it have hit any other part of his body and stopped the goal going in legally if it didn't hit his arm?
It could have hit his knee.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I don't know. I've watched it back and I don't know. And then I think to myself, like, even like if you move your arm from outside your body to your body and it hits your hand, stops the goal, but it's clear that it's going to hit it's going to hit a part of your body legally, then fine. Obviously, no big deal. But to me, the arm was going the other way. It was kind of going to the ball a little bit. And because there was that element of doubt, I think it was probably the right decision. I don't know the rules about, well, I guess, yeah. So it has to be a red card then, doesn't it? You know, I don't know the rules exactly about the double jeopardy things anymore. I lose track because I don't think that's generally for handballs. That's all when like players going through on goal. So this one just seemed to be a deliberate handball, stop the ball going in. It's got to be a red card. Don't know what the manager said, but Mitrovic's one, absolutely a red card, the most clear out of the lot, and he's going to have the book thrown at him.
Right, now I'll come to you with this, Tom, and I'll just throw into the equation as well that there's been a lot of talk today and through media that the book should be thrown at him. He should get 10 matches. This is Mitrovic, obviously, we're talking about 10-game ban, etc., etc. And then you compare it to the Di Canio one. I don't know if you have seen this, Tom, because it might have been before your time. But the Di Canio one, where he literally pushes the guy to the ground, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. It's another level. Now, Di Canio got 11-game ban for that. Do you agree that Mitrovic should be getting something like a 10-game ban for what happened on Sunday?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can't do that. I hate Man United. As much, I will happily, charity boxing match between me and Mo to decide who hates Man United more.
With the winner to face off with gold. Yeah,
but honestly, like, you can't do that. Like, that is, and maybe I'm coming from a teacher perspective, and obviously referees are likened to teachers quite a lot. But you can't do that. That is ridiculous.
So you offering Mo out in the playground like a kid from school then, after school?
Look, Mitrovic should be banned for about 10 games, which would suck for Arsenal because it would certainly hamper Fulham when they go up against Man City later on in the season. But yeah, he should face a significant ban. You have to certainly lay the law down, no matter what we think about the quality of refereeing. And by goodness, have we covered that to the nth degree on this show? It's not. It doesn't equal physical violence, and people say violence. What are you talking about? But you know what I'm talking about. It's a physical act towards the guy, and you can't do that. And you do have to lay down the law in that aspect. So yeah. Fulham should he should face a significant ban, Mitrovic. But yeah, look, Man United got exceptionally luckily that game, and hopefully someone, and in the Europa League, of course, kind of puts an end to their trophies.
How they won that 3-1, that game 3-1, I don't know. It's just insane.
Well, because Willian handballed it, mate, and that's like.
I'm from the era of the Cantona karate kick into the crowd and Di Canio barging people over. Personally, I agree with you guys in the sense of you shouldn't be touching an official, but then a good point was made earlier on today. If the Bruno one, which isn't as bad, but you still shouldn't be touching an official. Mo, I'll ask you this. Mo, if the Bruno one was dealt with when it happened, would the Mitrovic one ever have happened?
Yeah, it would, because Mitrovic lost his head. At that moment in time, he's not thinking logically or rationally. And like I say, look, I'm going to be honest with you. As much as I hate, especially Bruno, is the most hated player in the Premier League, probably. But that wasn't a red card. It just wasn't a red card. I think they got it right personally, and I don't think we'll see Mitrovic again this season. I think he's going to be out for a long, long time.
Well, they've only got 10 games left and he's out, 10, 11 games left. He's going to be out for all of them, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I think it will be like a 10-game ban.
Mad.
It cost them Europe this season, which, Fulham have done brilliant. I think Silva's done a fantastic job as manager at Fulham. And Mitrovic could potentially ruin their season with that moment. The Bruno, because I've not had my piece on the Bruno situation. For me, I think that's also a red card. It's obviously football's really binary in the cards that come through. You have red and yellow, and it's two options or nothing. Of course, is the other one. There isn't red. Is you can have a hard red or a soft red or a soft yellow or it's an orange card. We talk about the theoretical orange card because yellow is not good enough of a punishment, but a red is too harsh. That's the problem with football because there's so many binary punishments regarding what we judge things on. For me, you can't touch the officials. Fernandes can't do that. And yes, it's about speeding the game on. You have to run around the referee. You can't lay your hands on the officials no matter what the context is. Yeah. And for me, he should be sent off in that for that moment. And I'd be saying that the same if it was an Arsenal player as well. And I'd expect the punishment there as well.
And you know what? It's interesting actually because Tom talks about binary punishments, but actually this rule is very binary. You cannot touch the officials in like other than like in a friendly way. Like obviously you can. It's completely different if you're like patting him on the back or whatever. So we're being realistic here. And he didn't do it in a friendly way. He did it in a frustrated, impatient way. Now, if the punishments are binary, the offence can be binary as well. And it's just like offside, where sometimes we turn around and say he was barely interfering with play. It happened way before the goal got scored. Blah blah blah. But then we just turn and say, well, offside's offside. It's just binary. And then we don't complain about that being applied to the letter of the law, even if it's a bit sort of like, that's not what it was necessarily trying to prevent happening. Obviously, when offside first came in, why did it come in? To stop strikers marking goalkeepers, basically, just goal hanging, and now it's evolved to such a degree. So likewise, I think with this one, if someone had said, if Bruno had got a red card, even though I don't think it really deserves one, and they just said, look, that's just the way it is. It's just binary. And he did put his hand on the official in a way that wasn't friendly as such. I'll turn around and be like, fine, I see that, But typical United, when it's them, it doesn't, then the technical application of the rules doesn't happen.
Well, funny you say that because when the Bruno one happened, old referee from my days, Keith Hackett, has been tweeting. He's suddenly got a Twitter account and he's tweeting all day long. It's like he's just discovered it. But he actually stated when that happened that Bruno should have been reprimanded for that. And then long after, obviously, the Mitrovic thing happens. And unfortunately for Mitrovic, all right, yeah, he does deserve it. We agree in that. I think it's being a bit overplayed a little bit. But I do feel like he is now going to be made a scapegoat out of just to make sure it doesn't happen again. But look, moving on from that, even more gold that came along for us Arsenal fans during this weekend was Conte's outburst. Now, I mean, we couldn't go past without sort of discussing this. So obviously Spurs were 3-1 up on the weekend and lost that 3-1 lead and ended up drawing 3-3. Now, bearing in mind as well, Conte made some questionable changes just prior to that when Spurs seemed to be in control. He then went on this outburst, blaming the players. The former Juventus boss, who's obviously used to having his own way and winning things, started saying things like, we are 11 players that go into the pitch. I see selfish players. I see players that don't want to help each other and don't put their heart. I don't know what that even means. I think he probably that's his limited English, obviously. But being a team is the most important thing, he goes on to say, to understand that we play for the badge. We have to play to make our fans proud of us. Now, I won't go through all of it, but this is the bit that kills me. He says, here, we're used to it for a long time. The club has a responsibility for the transfer market. Every coach that stayed here has the responsibility. But basically, where the outline is, Spurs, for the last 20 years, haven't won anything. And they've become used to it. They're used to playing without the pressure of expectation. And he's really torn into his players. So, Mo, I'll start with you on this. I mean, what did you think when you saw that?
what I thought was that if Chiellini and Conte ever make a podcast about Tottenham, I would learn Italian just to listen to it. I love it when ex-pros and current pros just rip into Tottenham. It's so funny. I remember, I can't remember the player, but it was Di Maria, Angel Di Maria. There was like a rumor about him going to Tottenham. And then someone put together this image where it basically said, I've worked so hard all of my career. I've tried to play at the highest level, blah, blah, blah. So it becomes really upsetting for me when I hear that I'm linked to Tottenham. It was absolute nonsense, as far as I know. It was just nonsense. But the fact that it landed on a picture of Di Maria looking solemn and the quote written there, people believed it because that's just Tottenham. It's just what people say about Tottenham. And you know what? I think obviously Conte can't say this. He can't say it because he's, he's just going to get sacked, right? But he wants to get sacked. He quite clearly wants to get sacked. So actually,
I think he wanted to get sacked from last season, Mo.
Yeah. I say he can't say it, but actually, it's quite clever because he's going to get a massive payout. He doesn't have to manage Tottenham anymore, and he can go and do something worthwhile in his career, like he has been doing since he, before Tottenham and what he'll probably do after Tottenham. I said at the time that Tottenham got Conte, I wasn't happy about it because Conte is a very good manager, but I said Tottenham's passion for failure is more than Conte's passion for success. That track record that Tottenham have for just nothing, that is so well practiced in that club that will change Conte before Conte gets the opportunity to change Tottenham. And that's exactly what has happened. So I'm absolutely delighted because they had a top manager. They've got a world-class striker. They've got some really good players, and they've wasted this generation. They really, really have. So, hopefully he goes, and hopefully Tottenham get left with Roy Hodgson next year.
Tom, I'll come to you with this as well and ask you, throw in the added thing is, firstly, I don't think Conte ever wanted the Spurs job, to be very honest with you. I think he took it because he had to get a job and it was paying well. But do you think he did that with a view to wanting to get sacked, Tom? Or do you just think he was just annoyed? Because I'm hearing from a lot of people like Mo saying, I think he's out to get sacked. He's doing it deliberately. What's your take on it?
It's very hard to not look at that and think that's the case. Like it's outlandish. I'm glad Mo said what he said because from my perspective, I love Italy. Like I love the food. I love the country. If you've ever been there, it's one of the nicest places you can go. And I love the cars that they produce. Fantastic, beautiful things. And now I can also appreciate something beautiful, which is their judgment of Tottenham Football Club. Because it's just Chiellini, as Mo said, and now Conte have it's the history of the Tottenham. You can't put it more perfectly than they have put it in those statements. And you know what the funny thing is that whenever I see debates between, and I say debate, it's a massacre, but when any Arsenal fan has any kind of debate with a Spurs fan, but the one that's used obviously more recently is that the fact that they've finished over us in the last 6 seasons. And the irony of that is that that's all they have to say against Arsenal was, well, we've finished above you. Who gives a fly? No one cares.
We still won more during that period, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, of course
do anything with that.
There's no question.
We won cups during that period. Yeah. It doesn't matter that the most insignificant, meaningless football team that there is to exist. Because if you're a fan of a club, say further down the table, football's all about context. When I don't really buy into the argument, and I have debates with my other half about this because she's a Charlton fan, so she's saying when you moan about Arsenal losing, imagine how I feel as a Charlton fan having seen my club in the Premier League and fall all the way down to where I am. And I'm like, I understand that, but it's all about context. The expectation around Arsenal Football Club, where it's built and grown to, is we have the expectation that we want to push to be an elite team again at the top and want to have that, and we want to build towards that. And thankfully, we're doing that. But, there are obviously teams further down the table that have not reached that, or, there will be teams like Nottingham Forest that have been there once and will want to be getting back there again. But from the context of a Tottenham fan, you have nothing to look forward to. You have nothing to enjoy. You have nothing to be excited. Imagine being born into a family where your parents are Spurs fans, and then when you're kind of like conscious enough to understand the context of your club, you must go, oh crap.
I have a confession. My dad was a Spurs fan, and my brother's a Spurs fan. So, nah, I couldn't pick that. No.
But wouldn't it be brilliant if obviously Tottenham finished above us 5 years in a row now, or whatever it might be, and the 1 year now Arsenal reversed that. Wouldn't it just be brilliant if we do it and we go and win the league? It just absolutely sums the clubs up. It really sums them up that they can brag about that all they want, and then we just rock up. I mean, it's not that we finished 7th and they finished 9th. We just rock up. Yeah, we finished above you, but we don't care because you won the league.
When we go hard. Yeah. So, I think Spurs are becoming like the football equivalent of the Ring for managers, aren't they? The minute any manager goes there, don't matter what their reputation is and what they've done in the past, it just doesn't seem to work. And, that's it. But look, we'll move very quickly. We've got the Leeds game coming up next on the 1st of April. Obviously, you've got the international break. We have got a chance. Like, Tom, in all fairness, you predicted that we could be 11 points clear by the time we play Liverpool. We're on track for that. Because
one game away.
Yeah, City have got to play Liverpool at home. We've got to play Leeds at home. So anything can happen. So, I mean, predictions. Can we have a predictions for the league game? Or have we already done them, Mo, very quickly?
No, we haven't. So
okay. All right.
Did I say 4-0 for Palace, by the way?
No.
I feel like I did say 4-0 Palace.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, you missed it by 1.
Honestly, when that goal went in, I was because we were 3-0. Was it 2-0? No, it was 3-0, wasn't it, at the time? And I was thinking, wow, we're on our way to this 4th. And then they scored. And I was like, I wasn't worried in any aspect of us, dropping points or suddenly conceding 2 late goals. It was just, I went through the rest of that game, obviously buzzing that we were winning, but there was part of me that died when they scored because I was just like, it's the prediction's over.
So do you actually follow it then, when you're watching the game? You start because I text Mo sometimes.
I hate losing, mate. I'm one of the most competitive.
That's good.
You'll ever see.
Same for me. Fantasy football and this predictions league is very much there somewhere.
Oh, we'll have to do a fantasy football league one day.
Well, actually,
played it this season, Lev.
No.
Are you playing fantasy football, Tom, this year?
I am. Yeah.
And Lev, you're not. Come on, Tom, let's do it.
What's your score? We're doing this. Okay.
Oh, I'm
not doing well in my league, but my group of lads have a very good.
Who else is doing Champions League in it? If you're doing a fantasy league, let us know what how you guys are doing in the chat.
Not doing that great this season.
And people in the chat, who do you think is going to have a higher score before we do the reveal? Me or Tom?
Well, judging by the way you're gloating right now,
Mark. No, it's not. I mean,
he knows he's doing well. He knows. I'm in the top 100,000 in the country.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. I'd see. I knew that was coming. See, I'm not. I'm in like the top 10 million in the country.
Oh no, Tom, you're having a nightmare. All right. Well,
a bad season. A friend of mine finished in the top 10,000 a couple of seasons ago. Did amazingly well.
And what are you, Mo? Top 1,000?
No, I'm top 57,344. So I just squeezed into the Emirates.
Whoa, nice. So what's your score?
My score is 1,781.
Nice.
And
so
Ronnie effing Pickering.
634 is mine.
But Ronnie Pickering, you're a winner. Full stop.
Yeah, that's it. We're not arguing with Ronnie. Yeah. Doesn't matter. You're always a winner, Ronnie. Don't worry.
You said yours is what? 17 what, Mo?
Huh?
What'd you say? Yours is 1781.
Yeah, tricks.
Yeah, so I'm 1634. So I'm very significant. But I'll tell you, my group of lads that I have at home. So in 3rd place, 1790. In 2nd place, 1829, and in 1st place at the moment was the best man at my wedding, who's 1845. Like they are really good at fantasy, my group of boys, and just trying to compete. With
he was the best man, clearly the best man in every way, your mate. So all right. So let's go for these the Leeds prediction, guys in the chat. Let us know as well. Charlie says he's on 1,798. Don't even know what these stuff means. Top 30k in the USA says you. Look, I'm gonna have to do this next season. Anyway, Leeds predictions. Shall I go first then?
Go for it.
I say 3-0 Arsenal.
Okay.
Mo, you're up next.
Then it's me. Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-1 because my God, we cannot keep clean sheets at home, can we?
Good point.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, because that was my reason as well. You can just see they scored from a set piece last season as well, and I can see us conceding another set piece. Oh, I'll play the favourite. Did you say 3-0, Lev?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, those two are like the two best scorers.
Charlie thinks Leeds are scoring.
I'm going to go. I'll say 4-0 again and just hope the gods land in my favour.
You should have gone 4-1. If you think we're going to concede, why didn't you go 4-1?
No, I'm going to be, forever the optimist, mate. So 4-0.
And you see that comment in the group in our chat here, Jay Purdy, I'm just above Mo in our Champions League group. I've gone and flipping checked, and he is. I'm coming for you, Jay. Look at that. I thought I was doing right, and Jack has just absolutely trounced me there.
We'll have to check in on this next week and see how everyone's doing. Gooner Boy saying Happy Nowruz to Shaheen and his family. Miss him a lot. We miss him too. He will be back soon, hopefully. Don't worry, guys. We haven't fallen out. We still love him. He's not. Someone's asked if he's doing some sort of charity work in Syria and Turkey. I don't know why they would say that. I mean, like, he's abroad at the moment, but he is
very highly of him, to be fair, if that's the case.
Well, yeah, obviously. Right, let's have a quick look before we go. DR saying 6-0. Byron 1 is saying 2-0. Mo, what's your league code? Says Trick 7.
I don't actually. I didn't set up a league this year. I will next year, but I didn't set up a league this year, so I just joined loads of other ones. It was a last minute thing.
Dave Jordan has just simply said 11. No, why said
1-1.
that? Oh, is that meant to be 1-1? Yeah, all right, I'll let you off.
11-0.
Leeds are scoring, says Charlie. Wait, it is what it is. That it did theoretically say 11, and that's what I said.
Yeah,
he didn't put the dash in the middle. All right, guys, listen. We've been going for an hour and 10 minutes.
We have been going for an hour and 10 minutes. Let's go for an hour and 15. And what I want to do is just
something you want to discuss.
Little exercise with you guys. I'm going to read out fixtures. I don't want goals. I don't want score lines. Just win, lose, draw. That's all I want.
Oh, okay. So we're going to... All right. Dave Jordan is getting his wish. He wanted us to go through results, but we're not going to give results. We're just going to say win or draw.
10 games left, so,
Jordan, this is for you, mate.
Okay,
you guys ready?
Yeah, I'm going to write these down. Go on.
Okay. 1 second. Just writing 69 and 61. And now, Arsenal Leeds.
Win.
Liverpool away.
Win.
Draw.
You have to reach. You two have to reach a consensus.
What you can only say win or
I'll
lose.
have to reach a consensus.
Yeah.
I'll go with draw then.
I'll go with win if you want. Like,
for goodness sake!
No, come on. What do you think? Be really honest. Liverpool away, win or draw.
I really think that game. I really think we can win that game.
Because
But
Tom
to be honest,
really said really a lot. I'm gonna go with Tom and say win.
We're going for the win there, then. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going. That looks like it.
West Ham away.
Win.
Southampton at home.
Win.
That puts us at that's 10 wins in a row then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and 12 points.
We've done 6. So that's the next 4. So you're now saying Arsenal just won 10 games in a row. Okay. Man City away.
I think we'll lose.
Okay. Lev, agree or not?
Yeah, go on. Let's I'll agree.
I think we will.
All right.
Although I did suggest we were going to win away, but there you go.
Chelsea at home.
If we lose the City game and then you have Chelsea next, suddenly things start to snowball, and that's my worry. I'm going to say draw.
Lev?
I'm going to say win. I'm going to put Tom in. I really think that Arsenal will beat Chelsea.
Right. Tom, what are you saying? Draw or win?
Okay, I'll go. He sided with me with the Liverpool, so I'll side with him with this, and we'll go win.
All right, let's go.
Or alternatively, we could take the view that you're saying win 1, draw 1 each.
Yeah, but
so
why are we not allowed to say draw? I don't understand. Why is it only one or the other?
No, it's just that earlier on, he convinced you had a win and a draw in there, and then it was the other way around.
Okay,
so basically, would it be better to say win 1, draw 1? Anyway, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, go on then. Do that.
Right. So
Newcastle away. Ooh.
Yeah, Newcastle away.
I think we'll win that. I think Newcastle have bits.
I agree.
Pressure's really going to be on them like it wasn't last time. Yeah.
So we're saying a win there, and then
Are we
Brighton at
losing
home.
any of these?
Brighton at home.
Brighton at home. I fancy us. Brighton at home.
Okay, agreed, Tom.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Forest away.
Our record
Relegation
there is
battle.
terrible record there.
Second last game of the season.
Yeah, it's the last away game, isn't it? Our away record's been brilliant, so I think win.
Could they be down by the time we play them?
They're not in the relegation zone yet.
Yeah, they're doing all right. Lev, what do you reckon? Win or draw? Let's make this choppy.
Win.
All right, and Wolves at home. Last game of the season.
Win.
Okay.
So we
would've won the
basically
league
said
by
we're
then,
going
mate.
to win
It won't
everything. We're going to win all the games. Apparently, we're so biased. It's unreal.
Yeah. So basically, what we've said is, out of our remaining 10 games, we're going to lose 1 and draw 1 and win 8. Now, Man City, Liverpool at home, win or draw or lose.
If we're saying that, if we're saying lose 1, win 1, if we're saying we'll lose and draw 1, that means that I think that wins the league, does it not?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Because that would
we are
mean
immensely biased, obviously, but yeah,
just a tad.
just
and
a tad.
ridiculously optimistic people.
Yeah,
but that's why if Shaheen was here, it'd been lose.
He balanced out the show a little bit, didn't he? To the negativity.
I saw a comment last week that was like, "Where's Shaheen? He was my favourite," and I was like, "How?"
Because he's funny. Because it's funny seeing him.
He is
Go on,
funny.
Mo.
He's a good
Sorry,
man.
we digress. Go.
No, it's fine. So we're on 69 points at the moment, plus the 25 you've predicted for 8 wins and a draw puts us on 94.
Okay, out of a possible 99.
Yeah,
That's mad.
Man
That's
City are on
so bad.
61 at the moment.
They got 12
Plus
games.
11 games left. 61 plus
right.
33, 94. That's if they win every single game.
And they've got FA Cup and Champions League still as well.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to scupper them. The additional games. The additional.
Well, their priority, Lev, is Champions League. If you offered the Premier League or Champions League, what they'd rather win is Champions League all day long. And if you offered me the same thing, I'd say Premier League all day long. So
I'd be happy for them to win the Champions League. I wouldn't mind that.
I don't care if they do. You know, at the end of the season, if they win the Champions League, people will turn around and say they've had a better season than Arsenal. I'd guarantee you as well that will be the case. But I think
don't really care.
Context. No, I don't care. I don't care at all. I'm just saying. Like I said about if we win the league, they'll say it's because we went out of all the competition. It's just one of those things people will say, like the asterisk argument. But it's the Premier League is a much tougher competition to win. And I don't buy the whole, like this season, loads of teams are off it. I don't think that's the case. I think all the other teams down the table are actually better, and they're taking points off the other teams, and that's the reason why other teams are dropping points.
And also, if Arsenal go and do what you guys have just predicted, we're going to end up on 94 points. I think that's more than what Man City won the league with last year.
Is that more than the Invincibles got?
Probably, yeah.
Well, we had 12 draws, didn't we?
26.
Well, we won it.
12 draws. Yeah.
The thing is with the Invincibles is that we won it so early.
Yeah.
So
We had like 4 games,
we got
was it?
90
4 or 5
points.
games left.
But
Yeah,
it
we
was a
got 9
mental
points.
challenge to stay competitive,
focused.
wasn't it?
Yeah. Honestly, the last
We had
4 games,
90
if I remember,
points that season.
the last 4 games, if I remember correctly, we were just like trying not to lose because they were already on the beach.
Yeah. The Portsmouth game was like, because was it Yakubu scored for Portsmouth when they went 1-0 up?
Yeah.
And I think, was it Reyes scored the equaliser?
Can't remember.
Honestly, some of those games are silly.
Well,
So
look,
if you
Luke-
guys have been honest with me, about your predictions, that Arsenal are going to get 25 points out of the remaining 30, 1 defeat away at Man City, and then 1 draw potentially in the game against Liverpool or the game against Chelsea, do you then think Man City are going to win every single one of their last remaining Premier League
Well,
games?
this is why I was looking at this comment, because Luke's he's got City winning by 3 points, unfortunately, but that's based on expecting City to win 9 out of their remaining 11 games. So that's a tough ask in itself, isn't
If
it?
there's one team that do that, it's them. They are capable of doing that. That's the thing.
But we'd be saying
And
that all
that's-
season.
No, of course we have, but they've dropped points in games that no one did. And when they did drop points, it's because, I think when you think about the Man United game, the chaos with the Rashford thing, right? And the offside. That Nottingham Forest game, Haaland missing, how Haaland missed that chance. Like I will never know.
Yeah,
It would be one of those things. Like if Arsenal win the league, it's fate that it won because just things just kind of aligned. Look, if obviously if you win a game, you deserve to win the game. On the balance of everything in the world of whether it's luck or whether it's what things just went in your favour. And if you win the league, it's over 38 games. You've deserved to win that league, no matter what anyone says. But yeah, look, City are capable of doing ridiculous things, as we all well know. And arguably their achievement of the last 4 out of the last 5 seasons they've won the title is a mental achievement in terms of that. There are asterisks in the whole, depending upon the investigations that go on at the moment, and we'll see what the outcome of that is. But look, winning the league this season is an unbelievable achievement.
Yeah. But yes or no, will City win every single remaining game at the last episode?
No, they won't.
I don't think so.
Right. So in that case, if you've been honest with your Arsenal predictions, we're winning the league.
We heard it here first on the Arsenal Lounge. We are winning the league.
And for those people that say, you shouldn't be saying this, if it doesn't, but we're enjoying this now. Enjoy it while we think we can win the league.
Did you guys see that clip I put into the Arsenal, the group chat? The Arsenal fan that's in denial and will not. He won't say that we're going to win it. And even when his girlfriend says they're going to win the league, he's like, no, why'd you say that?
Oh,
that's exactly how we feel.
Yeah.
And the Paddy Power advert for Spurs ex-Spurs legends now turning into City fans is funny as well. If you haven't seen that, have a look at the Paddy Power advert. But look, we've been going for an hour and 20. That's Mo's fault. Sorry, Tom. Listen, it's been a pleasure as always. Let's hope we keep winning the international breaks here. I think it's come at a good time for us. I do think it might be fate for us to win the league. Saliba hopefully will be back when we're facing Leeds. On that note, guys in the chats, thank you for joining us. All you guys, if you haven't smashed the likes, please do so. If you haven't subscribed, what are you doing freeloading? Please subscribe, help the channel, put loads of comments in there. I'd like to read them. On that note, Mo, anything you'd like to sign off with before you go?
Lev and Tom say we're winning the league. Come on, Arsenal.
There you go. And Tom, anything you'd like to add to that?
I hope we batter Bayern tomorrow in the Women's Champions League. Tough game there, but we can definitely win it. Some good business we've done as well in the last week, bringing in a new striker, so that's exciting. But the main thing, I think, if you haven't seen it, is just watch me panic when Gabriel Jesus doesn't have an answer for my question in the mix zone. If you've not seen that video, already.
I've seen that. That was quite cool as well. I watched that this morning. Brilliant. If you haven't seen it already on Tom's channel, on Gooner Talk TV, he has an interview with Jesus, a little video clip, which is interesting to see. It's the heady heights of being a media guru like Tom. There you go. He's just.
I panicked so much when he said that. Yeah.
Well, mate, you're doing
I pivoted, thankfully, to another question in the back of my mind. But only when he was like, "Good question. I don't have an answer for it." I was like, "Oh,
can you give me another one?" That's me.
Yeah.
But look,
I need to write an article on what you're going to say. So
it's great. Great. I'm proud of you, and you're doing well.
Thanks,
and
man.
it's really good to see, mate. From where from the humble beginnings to where you've worked hard, you deserve it. So long may it continue. All you guys in the chat, it's been a pleasure. And this is it. This is the Arsenal Lounge for another Monday. We're out of here. Peace out.